would like to share with you a story. First, talk a little bit about who I am and why I'm talking to you from the cab of my truck. My job entails long hours driving from place to place, completing jobs. And so today I happen to have about 6 hours of drive time to do. So I figured I would take this opportunity to share with you one of my many talents. I am a storyteller. I'm not a writer yet, and perhaps I should share with you the difference. It's much easier for a storyteller to become a writer than a writer to become a storyteller, because telling a story involves creating characters, environments, and weaving them together in a way that the reader becomes involved with. So my talent as a storyteller began at a very young age. As a matter of fact, basically when I was a very young child, I became enthralled by stories, and I guess I realized that one of the most important stories that I will ever know is my own. So I would like to share with you just a little bit about my story, and it is long, so I'm sure by the time this is all said and done, maybe a few of you will stick with me through it, but I'll start you off on a small one. When I was about 8, I lived with my mother and 3 siblings. And next door to us was a family that was new to the United States. And they had a luau, they had a pig roast, and when they were done with the pig, they threw the skull of the pig with all the meat off it, of course, over to our side of the fence because we had dogs. And so we didn't know this, but one day I go out in the backyard, and of course there's the head of a pig in our backyard with no meat on it, and our dogs, I guess maybe the dogs ate the meat off it. So I go to tell my mother, and she starts freaking out. My mother tells me that it's a sign. She says it's a sign from a very evil place, from hell, and that we should not go into the backyard anymore. So of course, we as children were very afraid. Of course we didn't go into them. My mother said, yeah, basically Satan had sent the skull of a pig in our backyard for a sign. So we didn't disobey my mother, so we didn't go into the backyard. So after about 3 months, I finally got tired of not being able to go into my backyard because there was this pig skull out there. And I got frustrated and angry, and so I finally became motivated to go out in the backyard, and I took a stick and I picked up the skull and I threw it on the roof, and I had cleared the backyard of evil energies, and you know, we could go and play in the backyard again, and everything was fine. And my mother, she was kind of proud of me, but kind of afraid because she didn't know what would happen. So we finally had our backyard back, so we can finally play there again. And so I tell this story for 2 reasons. One, to let you know that my childhood was pretty interesting. My mother is a paranoid schizophrenic, diagnosed. She's a very sick woman. But she cared, and she does still, greatly for her children. And another thing about this story is that I've always been the person that was first in my family to try to fix those things that were wrong, to stand up to fear, to stand up to those things that just don't make sense to me. and they've always worked in my favor, that I've been able to positively affect the world around me. And so, as I go on through the rest of these stories, through the rest of this time, for maybe the next 6 hours, and talk about what makes me different, I would like to keep in mind and maybe motivate a few other people to look around at the world and see what things they've been told are harmful or things they should be afraid of, and take control of them and be aware that the world is beautiful. It may not seem like it from day to day, but there's no reason we shouldn't try. I don't consider myself a very special man. I only think that I am a man who knows the impact that a drop of water may have in a bucket.